Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 429, where we talk about things that matter, even when they're uncomfortable. I am your host, Aliyah Cherie, and today we're unpacking the realities of reproductive health for Black women, from fibroids to birth control to the OBGYN experience. We're asking, what does care look like when it's actually caring? My guest today is Dr. Qiana Perrean Smith, and her story is layered, honest, and full of insight. Let's get into it. 429 with Aliyah Cherie. So I'll start off by asking you, I always like to check in with my guests, a mental health check. You can say, how are you? How has life been? How is everything with you?
Well, I'm doing good right now. I mean, I live a pretty peaceful life, which is good for me. I can kind of control what's in and outside. Work is a little bit overwhelming because of the work that I do. I'm an administrator at a university. So that
Okay.
can be overwhelming a bit, but I'm in a good space right now. My home life, my personal life is peaceful, so all is well.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, like I said privately, and I'll say it publicly, thank you again for taking time to speak with me. I'm excited to learn more about your journey, and I know that my viewers will be excited and find this insightful as well. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to start off kind of talking about your personal journey with fibroids. And just kind of set the stage with your lived experience. So back in September 2022, I actually remember vividly the post. I am your friend on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what I've been dealing with my OBGYN journey, I don't know that I have fibroids or anything, but I saw your post and it jumped out. Of course, I took the time to read it. I did find that post again. Do you mind if I read it?
Oh, go ahead, and you can share the pictures as well if you want.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Thank you. Okay, so you said, "Hey friends, thanks so much for all your thoughts and prayers. My myomectomy, I think I said that right, open approach went well yesterday morning. They went in for 3 fibroids and found 5. They didn't see the largest one in the ultrasound. It was behind my uterus and was attached. Crazy. If you want to see pictures of the fibroids they took out, look in my comments. I can't believe I was walking around with all that. My hope is we become more open with talking about this because it's so common. I appreciate everyone who gave advice, tips, and suggestions. Anyway, thank God for his covering. Let the recovery begin." So that definitely touched me, as I'm sure it touched many others. And for those who may not know what fibroids are, would you mind giving a quick definition or maybe explaining it how it may have been explained to you?
Yeah, so for me, it was explained as like a mass that develops, and there are a lot of women of color, especially who experience it. So that's kind of my understanding of what it was, just these masses that develop and grow in the abdominal area. And again, it impacts women of color more than most other women.
Understood. So, was there a moment when you first sensed that something was wrong? Were you the one who kind of determined it, or did you just go like for your annual PAP and they said, "Hey, this is what's going on"? How did that walk me through that process? How did that go?
So I've never had children. I've never been pregnant, never anything. And so for me, I was just used to my normal menstrual cycles that were 3 to 5 days, very light. I did really have really bad menstrual cramps all my life, but aside from that, 3 to 5 days, light, no issues. And then I started to feel like something was in my stomach. I'm like, there's something there. Like, I don't know
Oh
what
my
it is, but
goodness.
there is something there. Like, I could feel something. And then I noticed my menstrual cycles were heavier. And I'm used to really light, like 3 to 5
Yeah.
days in, out, no complications. And I was having accidents. I remember being at work one day and I'm sitting there and I feel something. I'm like, this is weird. So I go in the bathroom and like I had an accident and it was all on my pants. Now, luckily, I carry an extra set of clothes in my car, so I was able to change. But I started to have more of those incidents, and I'm like, this can't be right. Like this isn't
Right.
normal. So that's when I went into the doctor and we had some conversations, had some scans. But it was really this feeling like something is in my abdominal area, it
Oh,
like
wow.
moving around, and it just felt strange. And then the heavy cycles, then they were longer, which again, I was 3 to 5 days, and I'm like 7 to 10 days, and this is not normal for me. So that's when I went to seek some medical attention.
Well, I'm glad that you did, obviously, and yeah, that's heavy,
Mhm.
especially because I didn't know. You said you it felt. I can't imagine. I can't imagine, but it happens to a lot of women, Black women, women of color. Um, so when you were initially diagnosed or with fibroids, or when you found out that you had fibroids, what was your initial reaction? What did you do?
Well, I didn't know what it was. Like, no, I had heard nobody talking about it, and so I started to talk to friends and family. And I had friends like, "Oh yeah, I had a hysterectomy because I have fibroids," and I'm like, "What?" Or my aunt is like, "Yep, runs in our family, had a hysterectomy as a result of fibroids," and so I was
Oh,
shocked
wow.
that so many people had experienced it around me in my inner circle, and I had no idea because we don't talk about it. So that
Yeah.
led me to a Facebook post where I shared, and then from there I just learned a whole lot more about it. I actually had went to the doctor, and I met a gynecologist and she shared my options with me, so I wasn't sure. So then I'm
Okay.
asking around people like, hey, I got this going on, I'm not sure what to do. I started doing research, so that really helped me understand what was happening and what my options were, and I had some time to think about it. But really, I was shocked at how many people had experienced it and what they had been told. I
Yeah.
talked to a few people and I'm like, well, my doctor said I have three options. And other
Okay.
folks are like, I was told I had to have a hysterectomy. I'm like, no, you can do these other things. So
Yeah.
that had me thinking a lot more, asking a lot more questions, and learning from other people.
That's great that you said that, and I'm glad that you mentioned that you went to your OBGYN, and it seemed like they provided you multiple options in this day and time. Like you said, some people said I have to have a hysterectomy. A lot of people don't get those options. So is it fair to say that you um, felt heard and supported during this time when you first went to the OBGYN about your fibroids and you talked through the options and stuff?
Yeah, well, I want to say I have some privilege, um,
Okay.
in my employment, the work that I do, where I'm located. And so the healthcare I get, is a privilege that everybody doesn't necessarily get. So I'm in the state of Ohio. I work at Ohio State University. So I was able to see medical professionals at Ohio State University. So I was privileged in that, where I've heard other stories where, you're dealing with insurance and those things. But the woman that I saw was a younger woman, newer out of medical school, seemed to be up to date on all the options, educational, sat down and talked to me, talked about options, showed me pictures. So I feel some privilege with that because some of the other stories I heard wasn't the same. Even some women who have some sort of privilege, but the medical care they receive is a lot different, and they were given different options than I were. So I want to say I did have privilege in that. And so I really appreciate that opportunity to talk to a medical professional who cared, who took time to explain things to me. And I did feel heard. We had good conversations about what my goals were as far as if I want to have children in the future, if I did have a hysterectomy, what the results would be medically. So she really took time to educate me. So that was a privilege that I don't feel like most folks get.
Yeah, that's a blessing. And you spoke a few moments ago and recently about the medical professional taking some time with you and letting you know what options were there what other options were there besides the myomectomy. Do you mind sharing what other options she provided?
So for me, it was three different ones. It was a full hysterectomy. The other was a myomectomy, and that's when they go in and they cut you open. And then
Oh,
there's a microscopic way that they can go in to take the fibroids out. And so she recommended the cut me open, the myomectomy, because one of them was kind of big. And she's like, I don't want to go in there and can't get it. And so she recommended that, or the full hysterectomy. But, there's things that come along with the full hysterectomy. And I don't have children. I used to want them. I don't intend on having any. But I have friends who gotten married to people who didn't have children and then regretted having a hysterectomy. So while I don't want any kids, if I had a partner who really wanted them, I wanted to be able to have the option to explore
the option.
Right. So those were the options that were given to me, and I took some time to think about that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And this is just me being curious. Mm-hmm. The myomectomy that cut you open, is it similar to like a C-section? Because my mom has sent me videos. She sends me all these videos. Sorry, Mom, I had to call you out. But I am kind of into stuff like that. So do you know if it was like that same area, or was it a different type of process?
I believe so. Now, I don't have kids, so
okay. Sorry.
Cesarean, when they cut you down low.
It's like under the navel. I know it's like,
low. So they did that, which was a good thing, because when they went in, they found a larger one behind my uterus. And if she wouldn't have cut me, they wouldn't have been able to get that out.
Yeah, that's a blessing. You kind of mentioned that you had a privilege that many other women of color, Black women, don't have. Did you ever at any point seek out a second opinion, or did you just stick to what the first medical professional said?
I stuck with her. I have a cousin who is in the medical field. She's a nurse, but she's in administration now. So I talked to her. And then there's one woman that I kind of know through another person. And I was talking to her about her experience. And she was telling me she had just discovered she had fibroids. So she hadn't made any decisions. And she was telling me, I saw your post and wanted to talk to you about it. And she said, my doctor told me, I had to get a hysterectomy. And I was like, that my doctor told me something very different. And so I started to talk to her about the options that I was given. And then I realized, like, I'm getting some pretty good advice, because most of the women I talked to were told hysterectomy. Wow. And I mean, historically, some of the things that have happened to people of color. I know my mom, when she gave birth to my sister, she had a full hysterectomy at 19. Like
wow.
Took it out. It was an emergency surgery. And so, some would believe that those things happen to keep women of color from reproducing. And so I was shocked at how many women had the full hysterectomy and weren't necessarily given other options. And I will say some of those women have already had kids. Now, the woman I was talking to most recently hadn't had kids, and she was kind of mortified that they had suggested just a hysterectomy and didn't give her other options.
Of course. And that's sad. Like you said, so many women who are told that. That is kind of sad. Mm-hmm. So yeah, your situation was very unique. And like I keep saying, it's a blessing that you got the care that you did. So that's amazing.
I think so. When I was an undergrad, I remember going to the doctor for the first time and them sitting me down and talking and being educational. Then when I moved back to my hometown, I felt like the doctors didn't give much time and energy. Like, they were in and out, they didn't listen. And so coming back to an environment where they actually sat down and talked to you. I don't know if people are familiar with my chart. And I messaged her after my surgery. I had really bad menstrual cramps. I was like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Messaged her, and she messaged right back. I didn't have to make an appointment or set up a Skype. And so I have had the experience, at least where I am now, where they're very open. I don't have to set up appointments. I can ask for a prescription. I can send a picture of something. They'll say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z. So again, it's that privilege and having an opportunity that other folks may not have. Absolutely. But you can require too. Like, my cousin who's in the medical field will say, you need to ask this question, you need to do this. So I also have somebody in the background that would coach and give me advice on what I should do and the questions I should ask. So I had that too. So if you're not getting the care you need, asking those questions, finding someone who can advise you to push folks to look at other things and try other options.
Absolutely. No, thank you for saying that, because in in starting out this series and researching and that sort of thing, it's like certain questions, like you said, to ask. I didn't even know that I was supposed to be asking these questions, or that I could, not that I could, but I didn't think to ask them, especially in my situation. So thank you for reiterating that. I think that's very important, very crucial. Um,
Well, the one
all
thing
right.
that's also important, I got them removed, but I have two still left. So there's one in the
Okay.
uterine wall and there's one on the ovary. And she was like, if I remove those, it could be damaged. So if you did want to have kids later, you couldn't. And she did explain to me they could come back. So that's the
Oh,
risk I'm
wow.
taking, right? And I think things are a lot better. Like the bleeding isn't as consistent. I'm back to 3 to 5 days. Only one day is heavy, which
Okay.
is not my norm, but better than what it was prior to. So it didn't solve everything and cure everything, but it's
Yeah.
much better than it was before. And I still have the option to, if I decide I want to have kids someday, to try that. So that's the other piece I think is important to know. Like, the procedure I had was great, but it didn't solve everything, especially because I still have two fibroid tumors and they come back. I heard a lot of women say they came back, they got them removed and
Wow.
they came back. So you have to decide, what you're willing to go through and what your goals are long term as it relates to reproduction.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, shifting gears here a little bit, we've covered a lot so far, which I'm surprised. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but this conversation is so good. So this is kind of, again, shifting gears. What do you wish more people knew or understood about fibroids and the emotional toll that it can take? And talk to me a little bit about if there was an emotional toll that it took on you. What talk me through that? What was that like?
So for me, I wish people knew they weren't alone and that there's options and they're not the only one. Because, I mean, I would have situations where I'm literally at work in a meeting and I feel like, oh no, I probably had an accident. And so
Yeah,
it was real embarrassing. I would like layer up, have something tied around my waist, make sure I have extra clothing because not everybody gets it. And we don't talk
right,
about it, right? And
right.
what was interesting is one of my direct reports, we were sitting in a meeting. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I think I had an accident." And so I stood up and like she could see the blood and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Qiana." But she had had some similar experiences. So she understood and she was a bit older than me. So she got it. And so that was awful. Like you never knew. And then sometimes you can feel it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm in this meeting. Uh,
Yeah,
am I gonna have an accident? How do I get out without people seeing anything?" You
right,
just never knew day to day. So that was a struggle. How long it would last, and then the uncomfortableness of it. I didn't have a whole lot of pain, thank God, but I know women who are in a lot of pain as a result of it. I know women who want to have children who aren't able to do so because of the fibroids and the pain and the issues they have alongside of it. So that wasn't my experience, but it was embarrassing. And I heard stories from other people afterwards who talked about their journey and their experience along the way. So yeah, and if you can't afford to have it, I have someone
right.
I went to elementary school with who says she has these huge fibroids and she can't get them removed because she can't afford to do so. I mean, it was expensive for me too.
Yeah,
Coming from a place where I have a bit more, I was able to get a payment plan through the university and pay every month with no interest. So for even
absolutely.
me, where I am in my life, it was expensive. It wasn't cheap, but not everybody has it. So I think the embarrassment around like having accidents, trying to help other folks understand, like especially men
Oh,
or supervisors,
good.
like I have to take time off. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Are you sure? What's going on? And you're like, menstrual
They
cramp.
don't get it. Yeah, and they don't really know the half, but you know,
And then the recovery too. Like it was my first surgery ever. I never broke, sprained anything, never stayed the night in hospital, never been cut open. So it was a new experience for me. So learning to sit down. um,
Really?
Also putting the binders on after the surgery and taking my time. So that was different. I don't like to take painkillers. So they gave me like oxycodone and some other things. And I refused to take it for the most part, except for that first menstrual cycle was awful. I was in tears trying to climb up
Oh,
stairs. Like it was awful. So I did take it then because it was so much pain after the first cycle, which I didn't know that that would happen. Like I wasn't
yeah.
aware of the after the recovery period. So
So speaking of the recovery, what exactly did that look like for you? I know it was a lot of pain, obviously, but where did you find support? Was it in family? Was it friends? Was it your faith? Was it creativity? What was where did you find your support and your help?
well, faith is just a given for me. Like
For
I
sure.
can't survive without it. I tend to keep to myself. I have a small circle of really close friends,
Yeah.
but most people would know I'm more of an introvert, quiet, keep to myself. So my spirituality and faith is really important to me. Prayer, going to church, studying, what I listen to, what I consume. So that is just a given for me in every aspect of my life. Then my friends were really helpful too. I have a friend, we're really close, and during COVID, we pray every day for over a year.
Oh
Um,
wow.
did a prayer call virtually through Zoom. And so having people like that, but then also women who've been through this as well. I use social media. So I remember somebody saying, like, you don't care, you'll tell your business to everybody. And I'm like, it's not really that. It's just I heard so many people say they've been through it, and I've
Yes.
seen anybody talk about it. So I did post to social media, which was a blessing because I got tips. One of my coworkers told me this binder to ask for before I left, so I did that. After my first cycle, after the surgery, I was in a lot of pain, and I mentioned that my doctor had mentioned birth control pills, and I hadn't taken them for a very long time. And she messaged me and said, "Let's talk." And she's like, "Don't do it. I think that led to my cancer," because she had just recovered from cancer. So I think that social media helped me because I would post updates and I would have people either post on my message or message me separately to have conversation with me about their experiences or what they learned or advice they had. So that was really helpful. My mom came up to stay with me to help me out. I had just bought a house. I had
Yeah.
surgery, and then like I don't know, a week or two after, I was like signing on a house and had to move. So it was a lot. I had friends around as a circle as well, but those were the things that kept me. And then TV, I watched TV,
Of course.
and
Of
so yeah,
course.
those were the big things that helped. And my coworkers, I will say, gift cards, stopping by, dropping things off. So that was really nice too.
And that's nice to know that you have that support as well.
Mhm.
I'm glad you were able to recover. And you mentioned birth control. I actually had the question in mind. Um, and you mentioned that someone, based on what you posted on social media, somebody kind of advised you against that. So kind of talk to me about that. How did birth control factor into your treatment plan or just your journey overall? And share your thoughts around that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a label reader. I'm really picky about what I eat and what I consume, and so, like I mentioned before, I had really bad menstrual cramps. Like I would be out. It was only the day during my cycle, but all my life I've had menstrual cramps, and so when I went to college, I started birth control pills to help with that. But I just didn't like the idea of like consuming hormones to control, and so I would take them and then get off and take them and then get off. And I hadn't been on for a while when I had the surgery. And so after the surgery, I had like the worst cramps. I mean, literally, I'm looking at my stairs now. I was by myself. I'm like crawling up
Oh,
the stairs in tears trying to get to the medication. And my doctor's like, well, you can take birth control pills because I know they've said that helps with menstrual
yeah.
cramps in the past. And
Yes.
she gave me the script for it, and I posted that, and I was like, okay, Qiana, just try to tough it out. And so I want to say after that, the cramps weren't as bad. I still have them. It's just something I go through, and it's only one day during my cycle that I have them, but they're not as intense. So I just haven't utilized the birth control pills at all. I just
Okay.
deal with the one day a month of pain, but it's not crawling up the stairs pain anymore.
Good. Yeah, because that's a lot. So I will probably take that one day. And I'm on birth control now. I've had a journey with birth control. I tried myself to after I think I was on it for like 10 years, 10, 11 years. And I was like, I'm tired of this. And I was good until that year mark, and those cramps just knocked me out. And I was like, no, I can't do this.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I heard you mention it, so I wanted to touch on that briefly.
And
Um,
I've only done pills. Like I know there's inserts, and
yeah,
that's
I
not.
didn't hear that.
I've done the pills, but I haven't. And my goal, I mean, nobody ever told me this, but I would take them for a few years and then take a break, and then take them and take a break. But I just wonder about like taking those. What is a long term effect of that? Like, did it impact me having fibroids? Right,
Yeah,
that part of it. I had some other stuff kind of go on too, and so sometimes I'm just curious about what doing that, what taking those does to your body. So, I mean, I have a script form. I just don't. But my cramps, and mine is only one day, right? Like I know women who are
yeah.
5 and 6 and 7 days are like horrible menstrual cramps. So I have one day a month, and I'm willing to go ahead and manage that and not take anything.
Well, that's good. I would, like I said, I would take that one day, but I do have those thoughts as well, as far as, okay, is this causing anything? And the fact that I couldn't, that without it, my pain is so bad. Again, that's the whole reason I got on. So it's like, is there something else that's wrong? And we're just kind of using this as a
Mhm.
band-aid, So I'm glad you said that. And I am still on the journey. I am still fighting to see what exactly is wrong, just trying to get to the bottom of it.
And I think it's hard, right? Like I had all those
Yes.
scans and they missed two of the fibroids. Like I had like all the scans you can possibly have. And to not see a large one behind the uterus was just it dumbfounded me. Like when I woke up from surgery and she showed me the pictures and I was like, oh my, all that was like in me.
Right?
That huge
Wow.
one y'all didn't even know was there. So yeah,
Wow.
that's also a piece of it too. Like they can't even see everything that's there, or maybe they can, and I just haven't had the types of scans that can detect it. But for them to only see 3 of 5 or 3 of the 7 and 5 were being removed.
It's amazing. Thank you. All right, we are almost done, I promise. So we kind of already talked about what recovery has looked like for you since then. Um, and I know you talked about your support system.
Mhm.
Were there any unexpected places or people that you found support in during that time?
I would say social media. Like I was shocked at how many people were going through things and they share personal stuff with me where I learned like the one friend, I didn't even know she had cancer. And she reached out and she didn't go in a lot of detail about it, but she said she thinks that they can and I named the type of birth control, so it could have been the type of birth control. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions,
Yeah.
but she did share that with me, so that was really interesting. Even women that I know and I've traveled with before, not knowing their journeys and what they were going through, and for them to share. So social media was a huge one for me. Coworkers, one of them, she's like, yeah, I just, when I was out, that's what I had a full hysterectomy. And I said, oh,
Wow.
okay, wow. And she was telling me how they went in laparoscopically for hers. And so that's just like, I don't know, they kind of cut a hole and go inside instead of cutting you open. Again,
Oh,
mine were larger, so they didn't do that for me. But just I think social media was the big one for me. I in my community now, I haven't like I belong to a church, but not like it was when I was back in my hometown like that. I don't know if
yeah.
I'll ever get anything like that. So I didn't see that as much here, but I'm sure if I was home, that would have been experienced. But learning some of my family history, like women who had hysterectomies in my family who had fibroids. Even my sister's like, oh, she has, and I didn't know. I had no idea. So just talking about it, I think would be more helpful. But social media was the one where people I haven't talked to since elementary are
Oh,
like
wow.
messaging me and talking to me and sharing their stories and giving advice. So social media was a surprising one. I didn't expect to hear from that many people at all. If you look at my Facebook, I have like 20 likes sometimes, likes, but for that many people to like see it and speak up and say stuff was amazing for me.
Yeah, that is amazing. I remember one post. It might have been around that same time, but I know it had to be 2022 because I was just moving here, and I was looking for an OBGYN. And you were tagging people, hey, we need people in this area. We need, and I was so appreciative of that. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, because it's hard. And I was specifically looking for a Black woman because I had from at home. That's what I had. She was just. I'm like, we know us. Like she's gonna get me. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one, but I am back on track now. I found one that's closer to me and that's has our specialties and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate you doing that. Social media, I have a love and hate relationship. It's a lot that goes on, but stuff like this makes me appreciate it for sure. We're almost done. I promise you, we're doing an amazing job. So majority of my viewers are women, Black women. So there may be some who are watching this episode, who watch this episode with fibroids. What would be your advice to a Black woman or any woman going through this right now?
I would say listen to your body, do what you think is best for you, right? I don't plan on having any children, but I also took some time to really think about like what the future held, right? Like maybe right now, no, I don't want any, but then that might change at some point. And so I made that decision to not. But if you choose to, that's your right too. There's lots of things to think about, your personal life, your goals, financially, what you can afford, because they could come back and then I have to have the procedure again, which isn't cheap. And then I already have incision, so then cutting again there. Right. And so there's lots that you have to consider and think about. Don't let people dismiss you. If you like, I was like, I feel something. Like I've never had kids, I've never been pregnant, but it's something there. And my primary care is a male doctor. He's really good. He's great. But he was like, let me prefer you to OBGYN and somebody else to see you. So don't let people dismiss you. I had another medical thing and they're like, oh, well, it's probably this. And I'm like, no. There's something. And I kept pushing. Yeah. And so make sure you push for that. You shouldn't have to suffer in silence either. I know some people is like sharing your business. To me, it's a testimony, right? And also, right. It's a testimony to share what you've been through and what you've experienced, but you could be helping somebody else, but also they can help you, like the woman I talked about who had cancer. So not to suffer in silence, and you don't have to live in pain, right? Like I had my experiences. I could have had a full hysterectomy and never have cramps again. That's not the route I chose, but you don't have to live in pain. And then I don't have a whole lot of advice for people who aren't fortunate enough to have great medical care or who can't afford it. I didn't, that wasn't my experience. So I didn't do a whole lot of research. And the people who reached out to me, most of them had the resources. The one person who couldn't, I mean, I keep in touch with her a bit. We're not in the same state, but I think it's something we need to talk about more because this could alter your life, like not being able to go to work, not being able to function. And so I wish that we paid more attention to it and talked about it more, and share resources more. Like you talked about doctors who may be helpful or what the options are. But please listen to your body. Don't let nobody tell you what to do. Think about it, take it into consideration. Don't suffer in silence. Like speak up, because my journey would have been a lot tougher if I hadn't shared what I shared.
Wow. That's great advice. Thank you. My last question for you, if you could redesign the OBGYN experience for Black women and women of color, what would it look like? And if you don't paint like an entire picture, what things would you make sure happen?
So, I have a friend who teaches medical students around understanding different populations. And some of the stories I hear about, their behavior, some of them who don't take it serious, I wish that people took into consideration people being different. I actually just started taking the Black girl vitamins, and I've seen a difference. Like, I
Okay.
love it. And it's formulated for Black women. And as much as, we're the same, right? The human race, but there are differences amongst us, depending on your ethnic uh, background, right? And so I wish that was taken into consideration. You hear stories about, oh, Black women can handle the pain and all those sorts of things. And, certain things are more common amongst us. So I wish that medical professionals treated us with the same care, but also learning about our experiences and not saying that everything works for every person, right?
Right.
Everybody's different. We have different backgrounds. And so I really wish that was taken into consideration for all people because we're different. I mean, sickle cell is, huge among people of color, right? Like there
Yes.
are going to be some differences amongst us. So I wish that was taken into consideration. I wish there were medication and things like the Black girl vitamins. I'm not a spokesperson for them. They're not. But I will say, I mean, I've taken vitamins forever, and I have noticed a difference with
Yeah.
them. Whether it's real or perceived, it feels like there's a difference because they are formulated for Black women. And so I wish that there was more time taken out to see what works well for different populations of people, especially Black women. And just more recently, I know that there are, fibroid awareness months. I know the TV show Sisters, they just talked about
Look, I
that.
was gonna bring that up. I'm like, I don't know if she watches that. Perfect timing. Oh my
I was
gosh.
like almost in tears because I know that happens. Like they don't listen to you because I've had some other things that I went through medically. And I'm like, oh, well, no, 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 no. You're going to hear me and
You
listen.
gotta
Or
hear me.
one of my friends gave birth and, they weren't taking it as serious and she had to drop who she was and her titles for them to hear. And so I wish that didn't have to be our experience. I wish we didn't have to suffer in silence or be quiet about our experiences or go to Facebook to talk about it because you can't find it anywhere. So that's my biggest thing, the care that all people, but specifically Black women, should get.
Thank you. That
Mhm.
was amazing.
Mhm.
Um, is there anything else that you want to share um, that you feel that I may not have covered, or just a message, or are you good?
I mean, for me, I think I shared this before. We have to talk. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, us in community is better than us individual. And I think that we could accomplish so much more and care for ourselves better if we communicated with one another. But people, I don't quite understand it. And again, when a person said, I'm sharing my business, no, I'm just sharing my experience in hopes that it will help somebody else, or maybe I'll learn something along the way. So I hope that, like your podcast, when we're talking about this, we spend more time talking about it, not being embarrassed about saying my menstrual cycle or, I was bleeding or these kind of things. Like it's our lived reality. And the
Yeah.
silence makes no sense when you don't have to. So I hope that we get to a place where we talk more, that we're willing to share more about our experiences. So maybe we can help other people avoid situations or learn ourselves about ways to care for ourselves better.
Absolutely. Well, I can't end it any better way than that. Thank you again for your time. And maybe I'll have to have you back again soon, maybe in a different capacity. Thank you all so much. This has been Dr. Qiana Perrean Smith. Did I say that right?
Dr. Qiana Perrean Smith. It's Perrine, but it's fine.
Okay, Dr. Qiana Perrean Smith. We're
Yeah.
going to get it right now. I'm big on pronunciation, enunciation. So thank you for correcting me. Thank you again so much for joining 429 today. And we are signing off, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for today's episode of 429. Thanks so much for watching. I want to thank my guest, Dr.
Qiana Perrean Smith,
for showing up with honesty and vulnerability, and for reminding us that healing isn't just physical, it's emotional, spiritual, and deeply personal. I'll also be linking Dr. Smith's contact information in case anyone wants to reach out to her with questions, concerns, or if they need some tips, or if they just want to talk. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got a story of your own around reproductive health, medical advocacy, or reclaiming your body's narrative, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to submit it as a listener letter. The email is linked in the description below. In the meantime, keep asking questions, keep honoring your truth, and keep showing up for yourself. Till next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I am Aliyah Cherie, and this is 429.